welcome to Mind Your Business, a channel where we are in everybody's business. If you don't mind getting in people's business, you're on the right channel. Talking about current topics and gossip. So, what do you guys think of Love and Marriage Huntsville at the moment? Because I feel like it's an interesting show, but there are certain bits that are just glaring at me at the moment. Like, are they really the true friendships anymore? Because I feel like Mel pops in here and there. You don't really see her that much. Obviously, dynamics have changed. So, it's interesting because you haven't seen much of Mel this season. Only a little bit. Martell, not that much as well. I'm glad to be seeing the Fletchers. I think they've got a very interesting storyline. Maurice and Kimmy's storyline seems to be more about, obviously her trying to get her sexual libido back, which I find a little bit irritating because of the way Maurice behaves. And also, I think it's interesting seeing Maurice and Kimmy because I feel like season 1, Maurice and Kimmy were a bit more obviously lovey-dovey because they were, new to each other. But I felt like Kimmy was a bit more, standing her ground a little bit more. Now I feel like she just bends like a rubber. Well, I'm going to report my inclusive crew. Let's talk about Love and Marriage Huntsville. So in this episode, I thought it was interesting. Some bits were interesting. Like I said, Kimmy and Maurice, I feel like maybe their cracks are starting to show a little bit. I feel like, Kimmy wants a little bit more from Maurice. Maurice feels like he's got this going and that going. I feel like even from other episodes we've seen of him, he's happy to just leave things to Kimmy to get along with. And from what she's saying, she has to badger him to get him to do anything, which is really, really annoying place to be in. So I feel like he needs to kind of, grow up in that respect. And he, over the season, to me, have shown himself to be a bit more like Marsau than I originally thought. Now, on to Tisha and Stormi. Those two are interesting because I don't feel like they have a real friendship there. I had to think about how they kind of came together. And obviously, I know Stormi was vexed with Mel. And we know that Tisha's always had problems with Mel. So they kind of probably bonded around that time. But I just feel like it's not necessarily genuine because when she comes to see her and asks, Tisha about how you're getting on, Tisha starts talking about being a bit stressed out and wanting to get the place ready so she will have a real estate office there and talking about she wants to feel productive there because she doesn't feel very productive at home. I felt like that was an opening for Stormi to be like, oh, okay, well, what's going on at home? Because we've seen in the last episode that Tisha seems like she's a bit stressed out. But it didn't really happen. Obviously, she brought up the whole barbecue incident and whether she's spoken to Kiki. Obviously, she says no. I didn't like the way Tisha was shading Kiki because I feel like Kiki's being vulnerable with her addiction situation. She done the test on TV showing that she's, not got any of that in her system. But then you got Tisha keep shading and saying, oh, well, I think she's on drugs. It's her behaviour. But you haven't seen her besides her throwing you the drink in your face that time. And you're hiding the fact that Kiki was saying that she was trying to expose your husband. So I just feel like you're just throwing her under the bus and stigmatising her because she really has been associated with, the drug situation. But Kiki's owning that. So I don't feel like anytime someone brings up Kiki, you should be going to the old drug situation. Oh, it's the drugs. I just think that's really distasteful and bad mind. Now, Tisha also needs to learn how to take accountability because I said it in my previous videos about this whole, copying website situation. The buck stops with her and she needs to take a responsibility for that. The way that she was trying to push back at Stormi and say, oh, well, no, it didn't make her look bad and it's not really her fault and it's, her team, it's this, it's that. It's just like, no, the team work for you. You are the boss, so therefore it is your fault. And of course you look bad. If you've gone out and your website has somebody else's policy on it, of course you look bad. And you're also bringing that other person's business into it because then their reputation gets affected. So I can understand why Stormi was upset and wanted an apology. I don't understand how Tisha can think that she doesn't deserve an apology, but she got there in the end. But like I said, not because it seemed like she wanted to. It felt like she was kind of coerced into apologising because she was very much, well, we made loads of sales anyway, so obviously it was fine. But that doesn't sound good. It just sounds like you're just running down money rather than caring about your reputation. So yeah, I'm glad they got there in the end, but I always side-eye Tisha when it comes to these sort of things because I feel like she doesn't like to take accountability or she doesn't know how to take constructive criticism. And also, what also surprised me with Tisha was her talking about, well, she's gone to Las Vegas, had a great time with her friends, but Marsau went off on their anniversary to Colombia on some bachelor party. Excuse me? It's your anniversary and this is what he's doing. Didn't you have a problem with this? Probably not because obviously, whatever he says goes, but I'm not surprised Stormi was side-eyeing and saying Colombia. That's kind of like the brothel capital, basically. And you know, Tisha was like, oh, well, she didn't know that. But yeah, I suppose you wouldn't know that. Marsau is smart. He's got a vasectomy. He ain't going to have no Martell issues of no side babies popping up. So, yeah. That's what I think of that. Chris and Nell, I think like I said before, I like the Fletchers. I think they're an interesting family. I thought the interaction with Chris and Nell was interesting because he's trying to get her to understand that the son needs therapy and there's more going on with the son. It kind of came across as Nell was a bit defensive, you know, mummy bear, kind of like, oh, is he just up to his foolishness again, or is he acting like an a-hole, she says. But I think she's upset with him because, you know, he's not been checking up on her, and she feels like he's maybe disrespected her in different instances. I felt like Chris had to really push at her for her to get the fact that he's worried about him and that he wants him to go counselling. So I felt like once she heard about him getting up at 3 o'clock in the morning and going out and needing to clear his ear, I'm not sleeping very well, she was then a bit more like, okay, yeah, maybe he does need counselling. But her initial reaction was like, oh, well, this is going to get me in trouble. And I thought, that's not necessarily the reaction you want. It should be more of a, okay, let's check on his mental health. I get the reaction because obviously you're black living in America and, you know, you don't want your son just driving around because then you could get police stopping him at whatever time in the morning. So I completely got that. But I just felt like the mental health part of it is definitely the angle that should be capturing the attention. And I feel like they did get that eventually and agreed that he should go to counselling. So I hope they do that. But I also thought whilst they were having this intervention for Chris, I feel like I'd like to see Chris go and see his daughter, the same daughter that, you know, dropped off and cussed off people at the dinner table and went and said that she's the black sheep of the family. I would like to see them have this sort of conversation and maybe get to therapy to get underneath their issues as well, because I really want to know what's going on over there with that. But yeah, I do feel like the Fletchers have a lot to offer in terms of like the dynamics of their family. Now, Kimmy doing this little manicured date with the girls was quite cute. You know, she invited Mel and Tisha. She's trying to get them to get back on a good level. And of course, Kimmy brings up the name change ceremony that Mel had and that she wasn't invited to. I think she brought it up honestly because she was, you know, upset to not be included in the invitation list. But I understand Mel's reasoning, as she explained, the fact that, you know, she didn't want to have to invite her because then she knows that she has to invite Maurice and then Tisha and then Marsau with his messy ass. Like, who wants all of that where she's just trying to have a nice fresh start and some positivity? So I get that. Kimmy must have felt like a bit like collateral damage in that, because really Kimmy and Mel have their own little relationship, which I thought was quite sweet. But I don't know. I feel like maybe Mel feels like she maybe straddles the fence because she is married to a Scot at the end of the day. And the Scots are very close to Martell. So clearly, you know, you're going to be kind of playing both sides to a degree. So I kind of got where that was coming from. Now, the whole conversation about the surnames and the children not having the same surnames and all this kind of stuff, I just thought, what in the hell is this about? It just seemed very odd to me because I was just like, well, you really know Mel's been through what she's been through. Your son hasn't got the same surname as you. So I didn't understand it. I think it was just her broaching the subject because it's an interesting subject, this whole baby mother thing. You know, not wanting to be seen as a baby mother and wanting to be seen as having the same name. But I felt like Mel handled it very well. She does, you know. But I felt like the conversation came across a bit nasty. And very much, like, it's given, from Mel's perspective, it's very much given, these are my co-workers. That's the kind of vibe that I'm getting. I feel like Kimmy's trying to hold on to whatever her and Mel have had in their relationships. And I hope that they are okay. Tisha and Mel, we know they've always been a bit, you know, up and down, mostly due to Tisha's fault. In terms of how she's responded to getting information, as we've seen, because look how, you know, Kiki came to her with information and now look how she's been with Kiki. So we really know that, you know, she'll push back on all that type of information. But yeah, I just felt like it's giving very much co-workers, and Mel is very much, you know, I suppose she's kind of almost a bit isolated because, I mean, who's she really cool with? They are very much her co-workers, apart from when you see her with maybe Kiki. Tiffany's gone now. Obviously, she brought in Stormi, but her and Stormi are not the same anymore. So, yeah, it's an interesting space on Love and Marriage Huntsville. I really think it's a bit of a weird space that they're in with the dynamics of the group. The final scene was a double date with Stormi and Courtney and Tisha and Marsau. Now, how is Tisha and Marsau turning up an hour and a half late without an apology? No, sir. I would have cussed out their backside about that. That is absolutely rude. I definitely would have checked you on your being an hour and a half late And I feel like one of them did bring it up, but they still didn't apologise. So I'm like, did they edit this out? Because an apology was definitely warranted, for sure. Courtney brings up Marsau calling him by Stormi's surname and the fact that, you know, he didn't really like that, basically. And then Marsau, of course, says, oh, well, it's selective outrage because, you know, Courtney didn't have a problem with Stormi calling him a B. And Courtney kind of agrees that he didn't really care about that. So there is a double standard in that sense. But I also feel like Marsau saying that, you know, that's his way of getting his lick back just shows how immature that he really is. Because he should have just simply said, Stormi, I don't like you calling me that. Courtney, can you speak to your woman about that? Because I don't want to have to check your wife. It's simple as that. But obviously he doesn't want no smoke with Courtney at the same time. But yeah, I just feel like that's the way to handle it. I do feel like I said in my video before, that, you know, Stormi shouldn't have said that at the meeting. That was definitely not professional, definitely more ghetto vibes, that she didn't need to do that. So I feel like they kind of quashed that anyway. So I wasn't sure why this was coming up again. And then her obviously doubling down, saying that, you know, technically what he did to her was a B move, made him feel that, you know, she was calling him at that again, even though she really wasn't. She was just trying to reference it. But at the same time, I get it, because sometimes I do feel like Marsau acts like a complete asshole. He's very, very messy, and he knows that. He's very passive-aggressive, whereas I feel like Stormi is very direct, and I like that about her. I do like that she's direct, but I do feel like she has to curtail it at a certain point, because she's very much crystals and peace and zen, but then she's got this other side where it's just like venomous, just straight to it, you know what I mean? So, you know, you can't be nice to everyone all the time, but I think there's a balance to be had. I don't think you have to be disrespectful in that way. But at the same time, I get it, because the man is a nuisance. So I get why she was getting kind of pissed off with him, particularly when he started saying, oh, you know, I'm going to ignore what you say, basically. That was a trigger to her. And then also talking about, oh, well, you know, your culture and how you frequently use this in your culture. It was just like, no, we know you're jabbing at this woman. So when she walked off, I was like, I really don't blame you. It's better you walk off than to blow up on the man again. But yeah, I don't know. I thought the whole interaction was very weird. That double date was very weird. And I feel like they're starting to realise that they're not really friends. Ultimately, that's what it's given to me. Stormi, you know, she, to me, is working out now that maybe Tisha isn't her friend that she thought she was. Maybe that's because the way you guys bonded in the first place. If you guys bonded over your annoyance at Mel or dislike for Mel at that particular time, then you guys were just vexed friends, innit? So that ain't going to necessarily last anyway. But yeah, anyway, what do you guys think of the episode? What do you think of the dynamics of it? Because I feel like the dynamics of the show have definitely changed. I definitely do like that the Fletchers are in the show, so I feel like they'll add something to it. But yeah, we shall see how the next one goes. It looks like there's more shadiness around a name change as well, so which made me think, oh, I'm not surprised Mel didn't invite certain people. But anyway, what do you think, guys? Let me know your thoughts below. Yes, so thanks for watching that. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, share, and hit that notification bell so you know when I am uploading some more of people's business. So until then, my nosy people, stay blessed.